This week on Engage the Sage.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Saucier. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. This week, I'm going to talk to you about productive procrastination. I am willing to bet that you know what procrastination is. You're probably procrastinating right now by watching this video. I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm procrastinating right now in making this video. We have lots of things to do. When you're in academia, you wear lots of hats. You have lots of things. I have teaching responsibilities, research responsibilities, service responsibilities, administrative responsibilities. I have lots and lots of things to do. And I can't do them all at once. And sometimes I procrastinate and don't do any of them. Kind of an ironic thing about those responsibilities is that I think of academia as a pie eating contest where the prize is more pie. So the more you can do, the more abilities you have, the more you get to do. And that means there are more tasks that you can potentially procrastinate. Procrastination isn't a good thing. It would be better if we just did the thing. But let's be honest, sometimes it's not going to happen. So what I want to talk to you about now is how to productively procrastinate. Because I do think productive procrastination can be, if not the best thing, a good thing. I think that productive procrastination might be a good compromise to get you back on track for achieving not only the little things you have to do, but some of the bigger, harder things that you have to do. Sometimes when we procrastinate is because we're not ready to do the hard thing. Mark Twain once said, and I'm going to paraphrase because I can't memorize quotes, but he once said that if you eat a live frog first thing in the morning, nothing worse is going to happen to you that day. This eat the frog mentality is awesome. Basically, it says do the hardest thing first. Do the things you're most scared of first, and then everything else gets easier. And that's great. But sometimes we're not going to do that hard thing. Sometimes that hard thing is intimidating. Sometimes it's going to take a lot of work, and we're just not going to do that. And what might happen is if we're not going to do the hard thing, we might not do anything. What I recommend when you can't get yourself to do the hard thing is to do something. Find those smaller things to do. Find those other things on your to-do list. Find the domain that's not as scary, as time intensive, or as effortful, and start to make progress among the many responsibilities and tasks that you have to perform. When I freeze up and I don't do the hard thing and I don't do anything, I start to feel guilty. I start to get mad at myself. And those emotions are not helpful for getting me back on track. But when I do something, when I knock the little things off the list, I start to feel a little bit proud of myself, and that helps me get back on track. Making some progress is better than making no progress. And when I talk about productive procrastination, I talk about taking that energies that might be well used to do the hard thing, eating that frog, and do it on other things that you would have to do anyway, so that your to-do list is getting smaller, even though you're not attacking the big things on it. I find that doing those easy things, those small things on my to-do list, help me build momentum. Like I said, it helps me feel a little bit proud of myself and helps me get energized that I'm accomplishing something in my day that inspires me to take on the more effortful and difficult tasks. I'm a huge fan of to-do lists, and I find it reinforcing to cross things off that to-do list. When I productively procrastinate, I cross things off that to-do list. I'm such a fan of to-do lists and believe that crossing things off kind of helps me and inspires me for my day that when I was in graduate school, I would actually have a to-do list that the first thing was get up out of bed. Second thing might be brush your teeth, get dressed, take a shower. There were things that just helped me energize so that by the time I got to my office, I'd already knocked 5 or 10 things off that list, and I felt like I was going to accomplish things that day. One of the things that I will sometimes do in my productive procrastination is I will break the hard task down into smaller, easier tasks. And then I will tackle the easiest ones first. This method of productive procrastination means that I'm actually gaining momentum on the hard thing. I'm just not doing the hardest aspects of that hard thing. And as I'm starting to cross those things off, as I'm making the progress, eventually I hit a rhythm that I can do the harder things. Sometimes what I do for productive procrastination is I look at my to-do list and I do my favorite thing first, the thing I expect to benefit from or enjoy the most first. Last week, I had a bunch of things I needed to do. I have a chapter that is about 7 months late. I hope the editor of that book for this chapter isn't watching this, but I have this chapter that's about 7 months late, and I didn't want to write the chapter. It's hard. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I've been working, and it just hasn't been going that well. So instead, I read a manuscript that one of my undergraduate students is writing, and that was amazing. That was a really wonderful use of time. Otherwise, I might not have gotten to that in a week or two, but I got that off the list and we're going to submit that thing. So that was really reinforcing to do an important task, even though it wasn't the hardest thing on my list. Sometimes, to help me kind of get going, I play a game. I call it working like my hair is on fire, and there's not a whole lot, so it's going to burn quick. So what happens here is what I do is I say I'm going to give myself a short period of time, and I'm going to knock as many things off my to-do list as I can. And I find this is a really cool thing to get a lot of those smaller tasks out of the way to open up my day for the harder tasks in front of me. Now, as you've kind of heard me talk about for the last several minutes about how procrastination might not be such a bad thing, I do think there's a couple of disclaimers I have to put out there. First of all, I am acknowledging procrastination is not great. Procrastination is something I wish I did not do, something I wish you did not do. But what I'm also acknowledging is sometimes I am going to procrastinate the big thing, and rather than get nothing done, I'm saying it might be productive to reinvest that effort in things that I might actually get myself to do. When I'm doing this, I am well aware that I am procrastinating. I'm well aware those other tasks are looming over me, and I'm not forgetting about them. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to either open up space in my schedule later to do them, or, this is what happens more often, I try to energize my effort that I can get to that task. Because oftentimes, I've got to psych myself up, and crossing some things off my to-do list often does that. With productive procrastination, I'm trying to get around that all or nothing perspective. I'm trying to get around that perspective that either I'm doing the big thing I need to be doing or I'm not doing anything at all. I'm trying to reach a compromise between those two. Again, this is not optimal, but it means I'm actually making some progress. I think productive procrastination is a tool we should use sometimes. I don't think it should be the thing you use all the time. Those big, hard things do need to get done. But I think sometimes when you realize you're just not there, you just don't have the bandwidth to do that, productive procrastination might help you energize to do not only the small things, but the big things too. With productive procrastination, you're making progress on something, and that is better than nothing. In the comments below, I would love to hear how you use productive procrastination. I'd also love to hear how you avoid procrastinating entirely. Thank you for watching this episode of Engage the Sage. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.